Filmed in 4K. TV.
I'm 45. Grew up in Chelmsford Wood, and that was in South Birmingham. Went to this really good school that's not there anymore, but it was a really good school. Taught me a lot of the values that I have. For me, growing up, it was different because I grew up in what was in the 80s, 90s, in South Birmingham, and there was in my school in particular, it was predominantly white. So I was one of very few black people. So I did kind of endure a bit of racism, but then I think because I was kind of a big person, it was like I could hold my own ground, so then I didn't take no mess. Um, and got through it. I had a couple of really good friends. There was this guy called Virgil that me and him were very similar. Another black guy. We were, and I think we just us two together were kind of a force. So people didn't mess. We had each other um to go back and forth with. Yeah, got through school okay. I used to be a lifeguard. So when I left school, before I left school, I was kind of working in swimming baths. 'Cause I could swim, and I was lifeguard for quite a few years, which was good because I had free use of the gym. So then I could like do my weights and stuff, um, and do it all for free. I used to play a lot of basketball as well, so I could use the basketball court for free as well. Um, so that's a lot of what I used to do when to pass time when I was younger. But it was like I said with because I had my friend Virgil, and it was like we two quite tall black guys. It was like Virgil was he was kind of one of the hardest guys in the school, and then there was me. There was we had other friends. There was a guy called Sean, um, he was like he was really hard as well. So people couldn't mess with us. We were kind of like a family. Um, so then it was like we just always stuck together as a family. And even now, like with Sean messages me every now and again. He's come over to chill with me. So we kind of built a strong friendship back then, and that friendship I think was instrumental to us being able to combat the racism that we did um, see. Yeah, this generation, it's a lot harder, I think, for this generation because they're seeing so much on TV that's or on YouTube, whatever, that's taken them one direction, and then they may be misguided in some way because they haven't got a close connection to somebody who's been through a certain thing. So it's they're using the YouTube as a guidance, and it's like I feel so it's hard for them because they don't have that um the interaction directly with somebody that's been through something, and sort of got the experience. Yeah. My business, me and my wife, we've started a business. It's called Niko Bell's Event Services, and where it evolved from is my background as a sound engineer, and her background as an events manager. We kind of came together, hence the two bells, and then we as a company, what we would do is we would do events. Simone would, Simone's my wife. She would organise the events, and then I would do the production side, make sure the production runs smoothly. Um, so that's what we had done, and we did that quite successfully for a number of years. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and what that means, without going too much into what MS is, but it's just basically affected every area of my life, like my speech, my balance, my strength, my walking, and so on and so forth. Loads of things that it affects. Um, so what that meant is that I couldn't really do the production side anymore. So it was like the company was then missing the production side of it, the production element. So we've pivoted and kind of moved into more training, and I've got one of my first training event coming up in Saturday the 6th of April. Been married for 8 years. Anybody that wants to get married, don't let finances get in the way of you getting married. It's like marriage is about love, and if two people love each other, just make it happen and put things in place to make it happen, and have an amazing like wedding. Plan everything as much as you can, and just talk about everything as well. It's better to be open with each other, because once you hide things, it festers and causes issues down the line. So just be open about everything, um, and just don't let kind of your, maybe if there's a lack of finances, don't let that stop you getting married. Just plan it and go ahead. It will happen. We got married in St. Lucia, and it was like on the beach. It was a dream wedding. um but it was like yes, I was a sound engineer and I got paid lots of money. But if you thought about it, there really wasn't the money to do that. To go to St. Lucia, get married on the beach. We had 40 people that were there in attendance, and it was like it really was a dream come true. I think it it definitely was a dream of Simone's to get married in a tropical island. Um, we didn't really want to do Jamaica because we've both got a lot of family in Jamaica, and then it would be a case of, well, certain people would just turn up, and we wanted to police it to a certain degree. Um, so we kind of we looked at a few different islands, and then was like, I St. Lucia, that's kind of one of the top places to get married. So it was like, why don't we just do that? You only get, well, we should only get married once. Really, but we were only going to get married once. I can't speak for anybody else, but that was our thing. We only wanted to get married once, so then let's do it the best that we can. We met in church, so we both went to a church. It was my wife's from Bristol. I'm from Birmingham, and the church that we went to had national meetings, and we would like 3 or 4 times a year we would see each other. Um, Nothing went on straight away, but it was a case of we became friends first, and then I think I pursued her. We've been together, so it's been about 10 years now. So it all happened quite fast, but I think because we'd already built a friendship beforehand, which is it's really important to do that, to have the friendship. It then enabled it to move along pretty quickly. We've got a 5-year-old girl, and it truly is amazing. I I think sometimes I'm a little bit hard on her because I expect the best from her, and she's the only child, so it's like she hasn't got. I haven't got another child to sort of spread the load out. Just her, so she gets the full brunt of everything. Um, I think we're good with one child. She's quite a handful, and I think it allows us to put our attention into her, both financially and mentally. Just put all of our attention into her. The feeling is, it is really, it's amazing. But what I would say is that it's never like before. I didn't aspire to be this way. I've been, like I said, I've been through different jobs. I was lifeguard. I'm actually because I used to be in the air cadets when I was younger, and so what I started doing was I was a gliding instructor. So I used to go to the SAR base every week and teach other cadets how to fly. So I was doing that for a while, and then then the lifeguarding, and then after that, I then stumbled upon the sound engineering, and then I was touring around the world, going to different places, and doing that as a job. And then I got married towards the end of that, and had the child. So it was like it wasn't like something that I had thought of from the start, that I want to do this. I always knew that I would get married, but it wasn't like at the forefront of my mind to have a child and be a husband, and that it all just kind of happened at the right time. But yes, it's been amazing. It was well, I actually think it's not as rough now that as it what it used to be. Um, I mean, I think back, um, yeah, think back to some of the things that happened when I was younger. It was quite rough back then, um, and I don't think it was the case of I wanted to move out of there. It was just something that I knew. Like you when you're growing up in a certain situation, it's what you used to. So it's like you don't necessarily think I want to go somewhere else to like live better or anything like that. It's just what you kind of know. And then I I was offered I've my first house in Nuneaton. Yeah, Nuneaton. First house in Nuneaton. Bought that. Um, got it at a really good price just for the price. How the prices went up quite a lot. So it enabled me to move out of Chelmsford Wood. And then from there, I just moved from there. So yeah, so it was one of those things that it was kind of like just it flowed that way. It was never like a desire to leave Chelmsford Wood. What made me want to do this interview? It I'm I'm a really strong believer in passing on to the next generation, and just giving them like a beacon of hope that they can do whatever they want to do. Um, the last thing you want to do is to limit yourself. And like my life, as it has been, I've whatever I've wanted to do, I've been able to do it. As you mentioned, being a glider pilot, I mean, as a young black person, that was something that was very few and far between. Um, but I put my mind to it and I did it. I then wanted to become a sound engineer. When I started sound engineering, again, there were very few black people doing it. A lot of like places that I went to, they saw me. They thought I was like the tech, and it's like, no, I'm the main engineer. I remember I was working for a certain artist in Germany, and it was like we were setting up the system and everything for the band, and the looks that I was getting, it was like, oh, what's he doing? You could just tell that those were the thoughts. Obviously, they were in German, but those were their thoughts. And then it was like, then the sound check happened, and the artist is there on stage, and it's like, well, I'm doing the sound. It's like, well, I'm important, so I'm not just one of the little people that you can just like bypass.
Yeah.
So that for me was like, okay, there needs to be change in this. And since then, I'm not necessarily saying it's down to me, but I've influenced a lot of engineers. Like my cousin, who I got his first job in the industry with Tiny Temper. He's now doing sounds for Stormzy, Thames, and all them people. He flies around the world, um, working for those. And another person that helped to bring into the industry, he's in his mid 20s and he's working for Central Sea. And a lot of people, he's just come off a tour with Jacksons in America. So it's like he's doing big things and he's gonna go on to do massive things. I really hope and I believe. And it's like you sometimes you just need that little help, and then you can just flourish, go on to do great things. The event that I'm doing, that is helping female engineers get into the industry. Um, I've been going through a lot of the registration forms and just seeing how they are like literally at the begin. Some of them are right at the beginning of their careers, and that for me is a big sort of motivational buzz because I'm like I can actually sow into somebody's into their career. they can go on to do so many great things. But I just want to help them get onto that first rung, because I know how difficult it is. It was really difficult, like for me back in the day, from where I came from, Chelmsley Wood, and becoming a sound engineer. Um, um, and it was like getting that first rung of the ladder. I know how difficult it is, and also um, how like of a closed industry it is. It's a lot of who you know, not necessarily what you know. It's a lot of who you know. So I'm like, well, let me help to get them into the industry, and then they can then they know they can network with people, and then they'll make those connections for themselves. So I think if everyone just can help somebody else. Everyone goes through things, and everyone has a connection. So sometimes you don't know who needs your connection. So it's like if everyone can just like spread help their with using their connections with somebody, that could then go to connect somebody else, and then it could just, yeah, really help. It's all about networking, I think. Yeah. So if everyone can realize the power of their network, then they will know. You will know somebody that I want to know or want to network with. I know somebody that somebody else wants to know. So I'll just if I can just provide that network, then if everyone can do that, then the world would be such a better place.